Woodbine Racing live on the air for a Sunday. And first of all, the one thing that you must do before we advance with today's broadcast of the pregame show and then our 10 race program is do this to one another. You made it through the first 2 months of the year. That's great because January and February here in Ontario, specifically where Woodbine Mohawk Park is located, it has been challenging weather-wise. As Chad said, the long-range forecast looks very, very good. It was a tricky drive home for everybody last night, but the good news is today, no snow in the forecast. Snow is in the forecast for Tuesday, and then it's supposed to really warm up. But Jeff Bratt, joined by Elisa Blow. Let's bring in my sidekick, my partner in crime, whether it's here or at Woodbine Racetrack. And Elisa, you know that I'm pretty much a fossil when it comes to Woodbine Racetrack and the Woodbine Entertainment
you're
Group
part of the
and
furniture.
Woodbine Mohawk Park. I've been here for 1,000 years. But I actually was thinking driving in today, this is a first for me. I don't think I've ever worked on a Sunday night harness broadcast because
Come on.
when we raced on Sundays in the past at Woodbine, it was during the day.
You're right.
So I'm really throwing off right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be thrown off tomorrow because I haven't done a Monday in I don't know how long. So, you know, we're both kind of trying to fill in the gap while Randy's off on vacation. But it's funny, through the miracle of the telephone, he is still with us. You know, he's texting us in between races. Oh, mark that one down, you know, this and that, you know, talking about horses, referring to some as lizards. That's always interesting too. But yeah, we will get you through these next few weeks. We just have to get through tonight, I think, because tonight, tomorrow morning should be the end of this bitter, horrible cold that we've had. And look, we're lucky we work inside. I work at the barn here and there, right? But for farmers and our horse people, this winter has been really hard for them, really hard. So they're looking forward to some sunshine as well.
Last night, a very pace-heavy program. In fact, every race was for the Pacers, including our feature, which was the Open. And James McDonald had a great night on Friday. He only won one race last night, but it came with the right one, and that came with Brew Hanover. And both you and I thought the time of this mile was pretty good, too, because the track was starting to get a little bit tricky around this part of the night because of the snow.
Yeah, it was starting to snow around the 7th race, and then it started to accumulate around the 8th race, and then it got breezy, too. So to have a final time of 1:51.1 for Brew Hanover off the rest was quite impressive. You know, we hadn't seen this horse race since February the 14th. The stablemate has been dominating as of late. That's it Saturday night. He took last night off. Now, Brew Hanover did drift out coming down the stretch, and we thought, you know, this could set up for, you know, somebody to come and catch him along the inside, but it just wasn't the case. He was much the best there last night. Lose World with a game second place effort. He was stepping back up into the Open. And Poseidon Sealster, always fun to see him in the top 3 as he edges closer to $1 million in career earnings.
Nice to see Vic Putty with a double. It's been a bit of a challenging year for him so far. Tyler Borth, he had a lot of success early on in the program. We'll get to that third point coming up in a couple of seconds, but the jackpot high five carryover for tonight is $59,137.43. When you were in public school, did you have like chores that you had to do? Because we always had chores that we had to
like. So like cleaning up, putting things away.
The one that
chalkboard.
I despised was the chalkboard because you had to get the bucket and then you had to.
Well, that was only on Fridays.
Yes, because then you had to really clean the chalkboard. And I used to remember the dust from the chalk. There was so much dust from chalk here last night because so many favorites did well. They won 8 of 11 races last night.
Good for them.
I hope it doesn't continue tonight.
Well, we were having some tough sledding.
We tried to beat some favorites,
I mean,
but it
we're
didn't go all
trying to
that
beat
well.
them, and then things got a little bit better for us later on in the program. But remember, you always wanted to be the one to go up and write on the chalkboard, too. That was like the big treat if you were the one that was selected
there. My penmanship is terrible, so I'd always get yelled at.
And both of us should have been doctors. Neither one of us can read our own writing at all. Yes.
Chicken scratch, terrible, terrible, terrible. And I didn't really like the noise of chalk on a chalkboard.
Some people didn't.
Anyways, I like the sound of making some money, though, tonight. Lisa is in the handicapper's chair. She's going to be the analyst for tonight, and we're going to take a look at all 10 races. We'll start off with race 1, which does kick off the pick 5, and the pool will be guaranteed today at $75,000. So here's a look at how they'll all line up behind the gate. Sirius Hanover, right now the slight choice as we speak, has disappointed as the favorite on back-to-back occasions, but does get reunited with James McDonald here.
That's right. You know, he missed James last week because James was away down under in Australia competing, and he almost was able to get it done, but instead finishes in second behind Kyle Zart. So he's back tonight, reunited with James McDonald. And there's actually a few horses on tonight's card that are going to be reunited with James. And they're horses that, if you've been watching, say, Randy and I on these Sunday cards, we'll say, this is kind of the driver. We refer to it as the sweater, right? Like the driver that makes the horse feel the most comfortable. And there's one coming up later on, and that's Nighttime Dancer, who's reunited with James McDonald this evening. But seriously, Hanover looks to kick off the card a winner. I think Exotic Sand is a neat horse too, Jeff. He was claimed back on January the 18th, and they gassed him on January the 18th, the day he was claimed. A horrible race for him. He ends up finishing 8th, and I think that kind of sucked the life out of him. The race on February the 1st was okay. The race on February the 8th, he looked like he was a bit of a tired racehorse. And that last race for him, where they came from off of the pace with Bob McClure taking over the driving duties, I thought was pretty impressive. He had been with John McMillan, and then Corey Giles took him. So, they were able to get that win, the first win since they took the horse. Kyle's Art is back here tonight too, trying to get another win over Seriously Hanover. This is a Shane Barrington horse, but, he's kind of hindered with one of the outside draws here tonight. He had the 2-hole last start out. He had the 10-hole the week before, and they did go from the 10-hole back on the 15th. So I'm not sure what the plan of attack is here with him this evening, if they go off the gate or not, but I'll just reverse the two tonight and use Seriously Hanover up on top.
Kyle's Arts capitalized on a great trip last week. Got that pocket trip and was able to pull off the victory at the last quarter in 27-4. But both you and I think that Seriously Hanover might be able to turn the tables on that one. Let's get to race number 2 now on the program, and this will wrap up the double. Second race on the card is a claiming handicap. We're going for a purse of $9,000. This is a massive drop for Tellett, Russ Tellett. Like, does this almost scare you too much, or do you just think this is almost like a free bingo score when it comes to pick 5?
Well, it's the Cullens, and we saw them win a couple of races on the Friday night program. They have had a really hot 2026 campaign, and this horse came home in 27-4 last start out as the heavily backed favorite in behind Nighttime Dancer, and that was back on February the 15th. You're going to see Nighttime Dancer compete on tonight's program as well. Remember, Randy had said that night on the 15th, you got to pay attention to Nighttime Dancer when he's back with James McDonald, because they get along like peaches and cream, and this horse ended up finishing second to them. So I like Tellett, Russ Tellett. I think he could be a free square on tonight's program. Aragonite for the Dean Nixon outfit. They had a nice winner on the program last night with Liquid, who was kind of getting closer and closer to getting that maiden score out of the way, and he got it done last night. And then I tossed in Midnight Mood for Justin Turcotte. He's kind of been hit and miss in and around it. He can win for this kind of a price tag as well. But look what they're doing here tonight, switching things up and putting James in behind Midnight Mood.
Boy, Aragonites, you often talk about nail-biter horses that don't win by a wide margin. Even if Aragonite has a 5-length lead at the top of the stretch, you're still biting your fingernails because sometimes he'll hold on, and other times he got picked off right in the last jump last time.
You and I have seen that so many times over in Toronto too, and we say, to ourselves, like, look, they got to get so far ahead that when they're starting to back up and the field is starting to come towards them, that even then they've left just a little bit to get them to the wire in front. But interesting little race there, but I think the free square is the one.
Super fast, looking for back-to-back wins off that big win and that most recent events. The third on the program, we continue with the pop-up series of action that we have. It seems to be a staple now at Woodbine Mohawk Park, whether it is the wintertime or the summertime now. I'm taking a shot at Lisa, and you kind of used this angle with a horse yesterday. I think it was Geordie, where you said it didn't matter where the horse showed up, you were going to play the horse.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I'm doing here with Titanic Hanover, because the ease in which he won last time out, now it does go to a new barn here tonight, but that was as easy a win as you will see around these parts. Now, we are facing tougher here tonight, but Elisa, I'm not sure it is a lot tougher by any means. That's the direction I'm going to go.
You know what? He came here that very first start for Cullens, and he had been racing at Century Mile, right? So they bring him here on January the 18th. And when we saw him out on the racetrack, what we noticed is he's just a little pipsqueak of a racehorse. He's not a big guy, but that first race that he had here in Toronto was a really good one where he ended up finishing third. Now, he got claimed out of that race. He's since been claimed a couple of more times as well. Now, they did have to reset him after the January 31st race. We had bet him down that night. I think that was the last race on the program, so the jackpot high five, and a lot of us were singling him on that program, and he just didn't fire at all. But they've the previous connections requalified him, brought him back. They got a nice win with him, and he's changed hands yet again over to the Waxman outfit. I'm with you with the 3-horse Titanic Hanover. When you see him out on the track, too, he's just a little guy, but he's little and mighty. I thought maybe Jared Mann's horse, Total Stranger, a horse who had been racing on the Bees and doing well at Western Fair. He had a pretty good account of himself here on February the 22nd, closed up a little bit of ground that day, had Doug McNair. Tonight they switch over to Jameson.
Field of 8 for race number 3 now on the program. We'll see if indeed in this third race, Titanic Hanover can keep that roll going. Sometimes a bit of a break can do the world of good. And it's a clean sweep when it comes to prognosticators. They're going towards Titanic Hanover in the third, despite the fact that Total Stranger is the morning line choice. The fourth race on the program, the one thing that I like about watching on Sundays, at least, is I tend to find we get better trotters on the Sunday program.
We do.
And this is a field in which you've got horses trying to get some confidence going, like Move, Your Mass, My Buddy Sam, Captain Wanted. They've all been facing tougher, and they're trying to get back on track here today. Are you going with one of these droppers in here, or are you going with one that's kind of been in this class for a little while?
Well, I'm going with one of the droppers, but I'm going to use the 3-horse, My Buddy Sam. This is the Jennifer Pinkerton horse. And the reason I'm using him is simply look at who he's been racing against lately. He's been in against Perfetto last start out. He was in against Devil's Arch, who we're going to see tonight in the Open. So, he has some really strong references, and I think he might get overlooked in this race because some people might look at others, Tactical Strike. Tactical Strike, I gather, he's not maybe one of the droppers in the bunch, but he was bet down as a favorite last start out, and the horse that won was my friend Jose, who was really well prepped by Herb Holland to get that first win off the layoff, and that horse had been on the qualifier report as well, so Chad kind of gave us that one, but I think we've learned that Daryl Thiessen belongs here on this racetrack, and he fits this horse, My Buddy Sam, and they'll be gunning for the win.
Tactical Striker is obviously very dangerous because, just as you said, got picked off desperately late in that most recent event. Captain Wanya, the horse really kind of stepped up with that first start on Lasix. I thought had a bit of a more difficult trip last time out and might be able to bounce back with a bit of a better race here tonight.
Yeah, Randy's all about the second time Lasix, and now it's going to be third time Lasix with him here tonight. But I've played him before. He's just kind of been disappointing. He's still shut out from 6 starts this year.
Race 4 will start off the pick 6, and both Lisa and I go in the direction of My Buddy Sam, and everybody else in terms of their top picks going towards the inside horse, that being Tactical Strike. 5th on the program, we'll wrap up the pick 5. We scratched number 9, that being Desert Haze. Dropping in class in here, Supersonic Hanover, White Tiger, and Cadiddle. And I'll tell you how good J.R. Plante is going right now with his driving here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. I guess it was right around this time last year he started coming here on a full-time basis. But at least he was named on 3 different horses in this race. He was named on this one, White Tiger, and the 9. The 9 scratched. But he's going to give this one a vote of confidence for Conditioner Blair Burgess, and it was a bit of an eventful trip last time out for Supersonic Hanover.
Yeah, I put him up on top tonight. I always respect the Burgess outfit, so I got to use him up on top. But we just talked about my friend Jose, well prepped, as we pointed out by Herb Holland, to get that win off of the qualifier. Now, he is a second-time Lasix user here tonight, too, and if you're a believer in that, that's like a theory that Randy uses, and we talk about it quite a lot. When we do thoroughbreds, we believe it's first start Lasix. But when we're doing standardbreds, we believe it's second time Lasix, or at least he's convinced us that that's what it is. So this is second time, which makes you wonder what we're going to see from him here this evening. I tossed Crystal Baller in. I liked the last race from him. It's third start in the form cycle. I get that he's kind of moving up here a bit tonight, but I'm interested in him. I'm also interested in Cadiddle, who comes in off of that victory. And we were talking about that too, the Scotty Young factor, where he brings us home these horses at really good prices. This horse beat a really nice mare called Flash Chap. This is a Louis Waugh horse that he owns. When you see her out on the racetrack, Jeff, she's a beast. I mean, she is a monster. And to beat a horse like that, I think, is a really strong frame of reference.
I got bad news for you, buddy.
Yeah?
I think we're 5 for 5 so far with our picks. So we better be in sync here tonight, or it's going to be a bit of a
See, I
frustrating night
thought
at the
you'd
office.
take White Tiger. Aren't you a fan of White
I
Tiger?
am. Put the horse third. I just think the horse was going so good there for a little while. Now I realize it's been facing tougher, but it's tailed off just a little bit. Might be able to bounce back. I do like first time Dougie.
Yeah, there's a few first-time Dougies tonight.
That first time Dougie might work there with White Tiger there. I've got the horse on my selections for sure, but I like Cadid a little bit as well coming up in a race number 5. Are we on the same page? I think we're probably on the same page in the 6, because I think this is the free bingo square of the entire day. I don't think they beat Beach Tour tonight, do you?
Oh, you don't? See, okay, I played against Beach Tour.
Okay, because you're going to get a price, because I'm chalky in this race. Beach Tour is going to be the overwhelming favorite in here.
Now, this is thanks to our buddy Randy,
Okay.
and because he is the one who has pointed out to me, and I can remember talking to Rod Boyd about this horse, Nighttime Dancer, last winter. I think he's a little bit of a quirky horse as far as his gut is concerned, and I think the switches in temperature or something that kind of upset this horse as well. But Randy had said, whenever you see James sitting behind Nighttime Dancer, that's the time to play him. And that's what worked for them together back on February the 15th when they had a nice win. Now, last start out, they don't get an opportunity to use James because he's away in Australia. So they switch up to Jameson, but now we're going back. They're reunited together. I just think that this is a nice driver-horse combination. So I'm going to use that one as the upsetter, and then I'll use the 1, Delightful Leader, who had the 8-hole and
What
the
about poor
7-hole.
Beach Tour?
And then I'm using Beach. Beach Tour from the Horner outfit. I think Dougie's picking up a couple of Horner horses tonight. He's got this one, Beach Tour, but I saw he's driving one for the first time tonight in the 3rd race on the program. That's Thai Tour. That's one that he's going to be driving this evening for Mike Horner as well.
Now, Delightful Leader is one that you want to focus in on from a replay point of view. We're going to go back to a replay back on February the 22nd, and it was not exactly the smoothest of journeys early on that race. What about late portions of the race?
Well, that's exactly what it was. So what I wrote down beside this horse was, it's a troubled trip. So let's watch Thiessen. So he's here along the inside right now. And, these are kind of those trip plays that we like when you say, okay, here's a horse who has all sorts of go, but there's nowhere to go. And this is exactly what the situation is. So we can't slip up the rail. We can't go to the outside, and you can see Darryl looking around too. And they're, look at them. They kind of squeeze him in, so that's out of the question. And then he really has to pull that right line real hard. And at this stage in the game, Jeff, I think it's just too much to ask for him to get there. He had to jump over, what would you say, 2 paths, and that's a lot to ask. Plus, he almost comes to like a stop as well. So, just to get these horses going again with very little time left before the wire, I think you just put a star beside him and you play him next start out.
And listen, I think the reason, too, why despite that trip, maybe the punch wasn't there that we expected was 3 wide in that first turn, too. And, that's tough when you've got post 8 and you're trying to get in, and finally got in. And Beach Tour got the better of that one. So you're going to get a number, because I think Beach Tour is going to be heavily backed in here. So I think you're going to get a bit of a price on your horse. And I might have made a bit of a miscue by not having this horse on my selections. In fact, you're the only one that's got the horse anywhere on your picks there. So you're definitely
I'm lone
wolfing it there coming up in race number 6 on the card. We get some very nice trotters here coming up in race number 7. You spoke of Flash Chap, the horse is in this particular event. You've got Pemberton, who has made a pile of money in his racing career. We get Ways and Means. Paulo Wellwood had the horse, now back under the tutelage of a trainer here, that being Paul McDonnell, who had a nice winner with Albania just the other day as well. I really, really like this race, and I'm curious to see which direction you landed here in race number 7.
I went to New Rules again. I'm going to be a bit of a sucker for this horse. I thought he was the horse to beat last start out because he was coming out of the open. And so many times, we've talked about this, horses coming out of the open, and then they're able to go in these non-winners of 12,000 in their last 4, and they kind of dominate in those spots. But he happened to hook up with another good old horse in that non-winners of 12,000, and that was Perfetto. You are going to see Perfetto compete in tonight's open trot, which will go as race number 9 on the program. Scott Young is going to drive him tonight. Now, Scotty drove him last start out when he was victorious at a big price. We keep talking about Scott Young and referring to big prices. This is kind of what he's been specializing in as of late. But I just think he hooked up with another tough old dude in Perfetto. So I'll go new rules. Dougie McNair's going to drive him. Doug did drive him back in the Open on February the 1st, so it's not a horse that's new to him by any stretch of the means. Then I went with Pemberton, who's also coming out of the Open, and the 2-horse Ways and Means from the Paul McDonnell barn. And you're right, he's going to drive this one this evening. We noticed that the horse that he won with the other day, Avanya, he handed the lines over to James, but this one he's going to take for a trip around the track tonight.
And him and Paula Wellwood, they've got a lengthy relationship throughout the year, so I'm sure, Paula's probably exchanged notes here with Paula to give, him some idiosyncrasies about the horse and, what the horse really likes in terms of style and stuff like that, and what the program is with Ways and Means. That's how good the money is down in Kentucky. This horse last year won 3 races, made $212,000, as a matter of fact. Now, I was a little bit harsh on new rules until I looked at the replay last time out, and he struggled a little bit to clear on that, Dan. I just wonder if that maybe took a bit of a starch out of him and he wasn't able to finish with as much trot as he usually does.
Might have. It's hard. It's like I said, I still have to respect him just because he got beat by Perfetto, who's, a horse who's made over $1 million. So it's okay, that he ended up finishing second behind a millionaire. I'll use him tonight instead.
Race number 8 on the program. We'll start off the late pick 3. Facebook is very popular. Not as popular as it used to be.
For people over 45.
My nieces. I've never been so insulted in my entire life. About 10 years ago, I said to my eldest niece, I said, "Are you on Facebook?" She goes, "Uncle Jeff, that's for old people."
That's right.
I'm like, pardon me. I'm like, what do the kids use now? Snapchat and Instagram.
And now it's TikTok.
It's TikTok.
I don't even have a TikTok.
But anyways, I have Facebook, and I have Kyle Fellows as a friend on Facebook. And it's his birthday today.
Oh, cool.
So he's got Salzburg Ian. So happy birthday goes out to Kyle Fellows. And I'm hoping he gets a victory on his birthday, too, off of back-to-back third-place finishes as well. There is a lot of March 1st babies, apparently. I don't know, a little bit of an oddity.
Count back 9 months and see what was going on.
Exactly. But have you ever met a February 29th baby?
Oh, like a leap year
Yeah,
baby?
because they only have birthdays every 4 years.
Yeah, I can't. Maybe.
I don't know if I ever have.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways. Race 8 pop-up series action continues in here.
Yeah, could you imagine you'd be like, I'm 16.
Yeah, you'd be
right?
like Benjamin Button.
I've got 2 replays to show you in this race. Okay, so we're going to get down to business. The first one we're going to take a look at is the replay for Dalhousie. This is a Chris Haskell trainee, and we're looking at the last race for this horse. Now, I'm no driver, and I don't claim to be. I did jog a bunch of horses back in my childhood to make a couple of bucks in allowance money. But this horse, I thought, and when you're going to watch this trip that Travis gives him, Travis actually gets after him quite a bit.
Absolutely.
He goes to the whip with him a little early, and he's quite aggressive with him. So I was kind of wondering, and this could be a Randy term, if he's a bit of a lazy lizard, and you got to keep him busy all the time. And if you don't keep his mind on what's going on, then you just don't get that much out of him. So that was the only thing that I had noticed about him. And I thought that's probably worth pointing out because he does have some good late pace on end. So he's an interesting horse that you might want to toss it out. I'm not suggesting that you might use him as a win candidate, but I definitely use him in the top 4. Here's the horse I love as a win candidate, and this is the Gray Hazy Coast. This is a Mike Horner trainee. He started coming to race here back early in the month of February, and he caught our eye because he's gray, and we just don't have a ton of grays here on this circuit. So we're going to go back and look at his race from February the 22nd. Now, Travis Cullen is driving him on this night, and he's always going to be easy to spot because he's the gray guy. And you can see he's far back. He was like back of the pack, around 10 lengths behind everybody else. And he actually puts up a huge final quarter. He comes home home in 26-2. Now, you got to watch this, how Travis is able to kind of get him out here. He gets a clear path, and then he starts to kick into gear. He turns on the afterburners. And when we show you the run out as well, you'll see that he's up on top in the run out too. Look at this guy start to motor. And like I said, it is a very fast final quarter, 26-2 for him. He's a neat horse. We weren't sure if he might be kind of a lazy type of dude, but he's really proven that he likes being on the big track here. I'm quite impressed with him because of that replay, because of that run out where you saw him up on top. I'll use him up on top over the 6, Salzburg Ian, who comes in off back-to-back third place efforts, and then I'll toss in this Dalhousie. I just think he needs to be kept busy.
Yeah, those are going to be so frustrating to drive, those types of horses, but they just are what they are, and has no speed, this horse, Dalhousie, and more often than not tries to pick up all the pieces late if at all possible in here. So I'm going towards the 6 along with Kevin. Elisa says the 7 for her, and Mr. Garnet Barnsdale says Mel's Legacy off that narrow defeat last time out and against Beach Tour. Now we get to the big one of the night. This is the Open Trot, and I didn't realize until I looked it up on Track It that Devil's Arch, that was his first
time.
open start and first open win. And I'm sticking with this guy. When you're good, I'm going to stick with you in here. However, there are lots of great options that you can go towards here in this spot. You've got Safe Conduct, who's off of back-to-back wins. You spoke of Perfetto. That was actually a pickup drive for Scotty on that day when he was able to win. So the kid's done well in this classification in the past. Mr. Bluebird, all he does is pick up big checks, except for the big ones. Like, where did you go here in race number 9?
Well, I went to Mr. Bluebird because I feel like today's his day. He has been a really neat horse here for the Cullens. And what was it that made him all of a sudden start to show up? It was a change in shoes. They switched him over to flip-flops, and once he got those on, he was a completely different animal. Something that we noticed last week and the week prior, and we hadn't noticed it before, was that he wears 2 head poles as well. So he's kind of an interesting dude. He needs certain equipment that maybe not everybody else wears. You don't see a lot of horses here that wear 2 head poles on the same side, and I think one has a burr on it as well. But Mr. Bluebird's where I'm going to go. He has got so close to Safe Conduct, so close to Sid the Kid, Usain Hanover, who is skipping this week, by the way. You won't see Usain Hanover tonight. And Pemberton, who was here last week, he's going to show up in the 7th race on the program. So I'll use the 6 over the 7. The 7 did skip last week, but he's been very good. He just held on for that win, though, back on February the 15th. I'll use him for 2nd. Fashion Frenzy, great to have this one back. This is an awesome horse. He has earned $1.4 million in change in his career. I think he might need one here tonight, but his class might just shine through and help him to get a check here. And then I tossed in Devil's Arch. Like you said, first time in the Open was a huge success for him, but I got a funny feeling that some of these others are going to have their racing shoes on.
You know what's
tonight.
interesting, too, about Devil's Arch? Too, you would think naturally when you're moving up in class like this horse was, even when you're in good form, that you wouldn't go off as the favorite. But the bettors, they knew, and they got the horse. And Watt drove on that day. Watt goes towards Fashion Frenzy. None of that surprising for Eric Nadeau. And I'm with you, though. I just think this is not the way they drew it up to qualify on January the 23rd and then have to be a weather scratch. And now you're basically 5 weeks between starts now.
Yeah, and you know what else is interesting? There isn't one person who has put Hasty Bid on their ticket. And I think it's because he has just been average as of late. He is just not the guy that we saw win the Open back on January the 4th. I mean, the note that I have beside him is it just says so. That's really what he's been this year.
Well, I went out for lunch with Chat today. He took me out for my birthday. My birthday was in December, by the way.
Wait a second. Yours is like a week before mine.
Yeah, so he took me out for my birthday in March. But that's okay.
That's all right.
He's still paid nonetheless. And we were talking about Hasty Bid, and he was mentioning the New Holland series.
Oh, okay.
And because this horse that by his standards didn't have a Hasty Bid type of year, he's going to look great in that series because I think it's for non-winners of 150,000 last year or something like that.
And that starts soon,
Very
right?
soon, yeah. So, and Hasty Bid, might need a couple starts before he get back into the swing of things, but obviously very dangerous. It's been a lovely horse for Team McDonald with that one, $825,000 in the bank card. I like this race a lot. Like even I wouldn't be surprised. Even if our Peaky Blinders won, I wouldn't be surprised.
Randy's been chasing him for weeks now.
Is there a show, Peaky Blinders or something?
There is, Jeff. You got to watch it. It's fantastic.
Well, see, at least it's like I watch reruns of stuff. Although Elisa taped Bugs Bunny, and she's going to watch
Oh,
a
I
Bugs
can't
Bunny
wait.
marathon.
I can't wait. I just have to send my dog away to the
Yep.
sitter so I can watch cartoons all night long. But I
Was it
take
Elmer
the good
Fudd?
old ones.
Elmer Fudd that said it'd be very, very quiet.
Yeah,
it's
well,
rabbit
yes,
season.
yes. I love the old ones from like
Yeah,
the
they're the
late
best.
40s, early 50s. Oh, love them.
Do you
Can't
like
wait.
Do you like a cup of hot cocoa? Because that's my long shot play of the night coming up in the finale.
Okay. I actually picked that horse the night that she won. That was quite some time ago, early February.
Yep, February 1st was able to win on that day. So race number 10 is going to be our jackpot high five finale. The carryover is $59,137. The question mark, Elise, is what do we do with Job Hunter? I mean, this to me is just a claim that they say has not worked
Yep.
out, and let's drop and cut our losses.
Yeah, and might as well give James. You know
Yep.
what? The fact that James sticks around
That's a plus.
helps us. We say a lot of the same things here that we say over there. You know, when
Mm-hmm.
we see a horse dropping at Woodbine from, let's say, 32 in for 10, but the rider sticks and stays, that kind of gives us the vote of confidence. And it's the same thing here with Job Hunter. Now, I'm going to try and beat Job
Same.
Hunter, okay? And I'm going to show you the horse I'm going to try to beat him with, and it is the 7, Much Too Young for You. We'll show you the replay from the last race from this mare. This is back on February the 22nd when I marked her down as a horse to watch. Jameson's doing the driving. He's doing the driving again tonight. Now, this is a very similar replay to one I showed you earlier on where we had horse and we had nowhere to go. So once we get out of the snowstorm, you're going to be able to see it a little bit better. But we try for the inside and it's just not there. You can see, right? And then the horse that's on the front end gets back over to the inside. So he thought he could maybe slip up the rail, and then it ended up being closed off. And at this stage in the game, you got nothing. You got nothing. You can see him just basically say, well, we'll wait for next week, right? So she ends up finishing 4th that night. I tabbed her as a horse for the next start out. So I'm going to use her up on top, Much Too Young for You. Then I'll use the 5, First Philly Chip. The Job Hunter, and then the 1 horse, Stay Pumped. This horse won last start out at a massive price, 60-1 that night, basically. Yeah. And that was a night that Dean Nixon sent out 2 huge bombs on the program back on the 15th of February. So I thought I'd stick with that one too. But you like Hot Cocoa from the far outside?
I do, because I think the way to play this race is you've got to try and beat Job Hunter. If he beats you, he's going to beat you at 4-5, you know, because he's going to take all kinds of support because he's facing easier competition here. But I got to try and beat him in here. So I'm just going towards Hot Cocoa. I like the fact there's a scratch, and we're dropping, too. We're getting into an easier spot. Now, the horse has got enough ability to overcome post 9 here tonight, too, which might help out the situation. And let's face it, by the time we get to race number 10, it will be about -15 outside, and I will be ready for a nice cup of Hot Cocoa.
That's right. Hey, you know who raced really good last week that's back here tonight is Pretty Missy May, Kenny's horse.
Yeah.
Good
a
second.
couple that have run well,
Good
raced
second.
well around these parts.
Yep. So probably a horse you might want to include in your jackpot high five.
Me and Kevin Plaucha on the same page with Hot Cocoa there coming up in the nightcap. We've got some tickets to pass along. Elisa's the pick 5 queen. I'm going to give it a go with the pick 6 here tonight.
Yes.
We've got our plays of the night as well. And here's a look at your not too shabby of a ticket here when it comes to your pick 5. And your key shows up in race number 3 with Titanic Hanover.
Yeah, I'm like I said, wait till you see him out there, Jeff. He's little, but he's mighty. So I went 1-5-6 in the opener. Seriously, Hanover is currently 8-5. And then I went Tell It Russ, Tell It, who we really do like, but I'm going to back myself up with Aragonite just in case I've keyed Titanic. Then I went with my buddy Sam. We talked about that one on the drop along with the 1 Tactical Strike. And then I spread a little bit in race number 5 and went 1, 3, 4, and 7.
Here's a look at my pick 6 ticket. I am all in on my buddy Sam. I think this is a horse that's got a great shot with the drop down in class. I'm going to spread a little bit in the 5th. My key also is in the 6th, that being Beach Tour. If I make it through there, then I got a little bit of coverage. In the 7th, I'll use the 2, 3, and the 6. I've got New Rules as my top pick there. In the 8th, I've got the 2 and the 6, Mel's Legacy and Salzburg Ian. And in the 9th, the 1, 6, and the 7 to wrap it up. So there's a look at my pick 6 tickets. It's a little pricey at $54.
So I got a late pick 5 as well, and that starts in race number 6 tonight. So I went 1, 3, 4. I'm going to include Beach Tour in that, but I'm excited to see Nighttime Dancer go this evening. 7th race, I went Ways and Means and the 6 horse New Rules. Of course, those are this Ways and Means horse is a pretty interesting one from the Paul McDonnell outfit. Eighth race, I used the 7 Hazy Coast. I showed you that replay. I think he's sitting on a big one tonight. Ninth race, 6 and 7, Mr. Bluebird, and I backed myself up with Safe Conduct. And in the last race, I got a key, and it's the horse I showed you the replay of, that being Much Too Young for You.
Plays of the night. We have 4 plays tonight that we usually give you on a daily basis, unless there's some scratches along the way. I think we avoided that situation though tonight, and let's take a look at who Elisa has for her plays of the night.
All right, so I got my buddy Sam with the class relief, reunited, nighttime dancer who's been reunited tonight with James McDonald. Huge late kick. You saw that from Hazy Coast in his most recent race, and I showed you that trip from Much Too Young for You where the rail just got shut off for him, and I think a clean trip gets her done tonight.
A couple of 3s and a couple of 7s for Ms. Elisa. Myself, I look like this.
Oh, I like yours.
Russ Tellets is the old drop and pop. My best bet is Titanic Hanover, just the way the horse looked last time out. My multi-leg single is going to be Beach Tour, and my Beat the Fave, who is that dropper coming up in race number 10, that being Hot Cocoa. What about Kevin Gislen and Mr. Garnet Barnsdale? Vertical Squirt, that is going to be Garnet's spot play.
That's a Malik Smith horse.
Yeah, so what's the odds on that one right now? 6-1, so Garnet take a little bit of action with that one. Captain Wanya, that is Gislen's Be Careful. Gislen's always got the best names for his plays of the day. And Delightful Leader is the spot play for Kevin Plocha coming up in race number 6.
I'm sorry, the best name is still Blow Up the Board.
Blow up the board. Yeah, but we never
We
get
haven't
those.
had one. We haven't.
Never get
I know,
those.
sorry, buddy. They are rare when they happen.
I think I've seen it once.
No, I
working
think
with you.
it's come in once, which is really impressive, and we used it. I
And
think
we-
at Woodbine once
And
too.
I think the day it came in, you were sick to blow up the board, because I think you sent in your stuff and you
think
were
it was.
sick that day.
And that's Mike Quintanowski, who gets all the
Yes, he's got the
accolades
trademark.
for that. He was the one who came
Yeah.
up with that. Who, by the way, won the last race on the program last night.
Good for him, man. That's what a couple got off some rough streaks. Vic Putty and Mike. That's great. Good for them. Fantastic. So the board says 5 minutes to post. I imagine he got a whole lot more time than that. Not sure when the actual post time is here tonight, but we will give you coverage of race number 1 once we are told the horses are heading on towards the racetrack. It's a Sunday night of harness action here from Woodbine Mohawk Park. We wish you the best of luck.